today's event by acknowledging that we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Inukjuit, Anishinaabeg, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. It's important to acknowledge that the water we're drinking today is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, and the electricity that continues to power our events and all of our everyday events is provided from Treaty 5. A special thank you to RRC Polytech's ASL English Interpretation Program that will be providing interpreting services today. I also want to do just a gentle thank you to this group. Because of them, I found myself actually returning to ASL earlier this month, and it's completely because of Mandy and her team. So thank you, Mandy, for being an inspiration, and just a gentle reminder to everyone that you truly do inspire more people than you know. So thank you for just being who you are and doing what you love. I'd also like to thank our tour guide and guests who participated in our historical walking tour of St. Boniface led by Squarepeg Tours earlier this morning. That was a nice way to start the morning, right? Yeah. Kristen took our group on an insightful and memorable and actually pretty comical walk through the area this morning in one of Winnipeg's oldest neighborhoods. And if you're interested in attending one of her tours sometime this summer, please make sure to check out her website for more details. As someone who's passionate about fitness and happy moving, this is definitely one theme that I've been so excited to jump into. Our agenda for today includes welcoming dancer and choreographer Alex Elliott as our first dancer to share their passion with us at CM Winnipeg as well. And then afterwards, we'll be led into an engaging activity. And I always like to preference, this is not an icebreaker. I know so many people don't like icebreakers. Won't be an icebreaker this morning. And then once that's wrapping up, we'll be welcoming our keynote speaker, Megan Maes, the founder and head coach at NORAC CrossFit, to share with us how we can find purpose and passion within a movement. As most of us know, Creative Mornings provides a global theme for all chapters to collectively reflect and acknowledge upon. Our Wellington chapter chose this month's exploration of movement, and Hannah Webster illustrated the theme. Here's how our Creative Mornings headquarters welcomes the theme of movement. The body in motion is a thing of beauty. Our cells shake kinetic energy through the finely articulated instruments of muscle, ligament, and bone. We blink, we pause, we dance. As Alex showed us, we do dance, which I love how that was included in here. Some even pull off feats of human athleticism and daring from which we can hardly look away. Movement is a universal state of being. Even at rest, the matter we're composed of is full of motion. Subatomic particles whirl about at dizzying speeds to create the sense of solidarity. The things that appear still, the earth beneath us, the trunk of a tree above us, is but a trick of an eye. They move very slowly, but also at a staggering scale. When we move together, we can build social and collective movements. Like a murmuration of swallows, we can form sweeping visions of a world never seen before. Our collective energy, directed like a mighty river flowing downstream, taking unexpected and winding turns to carve mountains. As MC, I get the chance to highlight my thoughts around the theme, and this is hands down one of my favorite to discuss and share with you all today. Since I was a teenager, movement was a way I exercised my joy, community involvement, and my relationship with myself. Movement has allowed me to challenge and appreciate both my body and mind in ways I didn't know existed until I really dove into pushing myself into new boundaries. I'm a passionate person who absolutely loves seeing how the relationship with one's body can overcome hurdles and goals when we push ourselves into what some call the pain cave, or simply by taking small steps into a healthier lifestyle. By showing gratitude for movement, I'm able to ensure that each day is welcome with strong mobility, a drive for further physical growth, and to continue surprising myself daily with what I'm truly able to do when I keep my mind focused. I have movement to thank for so much, but most importantly, my community involvement and how I've been able to give back. I've made a commitment to myself to always try carving mountains and finding myself at the top of my own personal peaks, no matter what it takes. Now with that, I'd like to welcome back up Andrea, our newest community member, to read our manifesto before we welcome our keynote speaker. Please help me in welcoming Andrea to the front.
Good morning, everyone. So this is our Creative Mornings manifesto that we'd like to read for you today. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery in action, honesty, and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections and learning from others, in jazz hands and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities all around the world. Everyone is welcome. The Winnipeg chapter has also made a commitment to diversity and ensuring inclusion for our events. So we've written a commitment to diversity as well, which I'll read. Located in one of the most diverse communities in North America, we are as inclusive as we are creative, and we will be creative in order to achieve inclusion. We believe in the value of diversity of perspective, audiences, and industries as we create safe events to debate and discuss what it means to be creative. We will celebrate multiple approaches and points of view, and we will be mindful and purposeful in building a culture where these differences are not only valued, but celebrated. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go. Yeah. One quick thing. I did find a set of keys that somebody was wrapped up in a great conversation this morning at the sign-in table. So if you're missing your keys, there's a couple of fobs on there. Just come find me. I'm sitting at this front table.
So whoever has more than 2 cars, your 2 cars are at the front. Perfect. All right. I'm now very pleased to introduce our speaker for today, Megan Maes. Megan is the head coach and co-founder of NORAC CrossFit, a multi-award winning gym in the heart of Winnipeg's Exchange District. She has made significant strides in the fitness industry, with her gym winning the prestigious Fitness Place of the Year and Personal Trainer of the Year awards in the past 3 years. Her passion for coaching and deliberate, concise movement has led her to become a recognizable and well-respected name in the Winnipeg fitness scene. As someone who is now being coached by Megan and her team at NORAC, I am very, very ecstatic to welcome her to Creative Mornings, as she's become a wonderful mentor to me and someone who truly brightens up a space. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming Megan to the front.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for that wonderful introduction. And it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know Lindsay and training her, and her bringing me here. We're bringing each other to new places, that's for sure. So I've been asked to speak at a number of events over the past few years, and this is the first one I've said yes to. My reason for saying yes to today is the same reason that NORAC CrossFit does exist. Physical activity has transformed my life, and I want to share it with as many people as possible. When I look back, every major decision I've made over the past 16 years has been a result of my relationship with movement. I say 16 years because before that, movement had little to no impact on my life. I grew up in the country in a household of females. Not to say that females aren't very active. Raised by a single mom, despite her relentless efforts to get me moving in any way possible, my idea of movement was going from the couch to the pantry. I was the kid who sat on the bench during gym class. I feel sick, I forgot my shoes, I used every excuse I could think of to get out of participating. And I wasn't feeling very passionate or excited about anything at all, not even myself. I was quite unhappy, I was angry, and I spent life feeling this way until my mid-20s. So it was around that time that my friend invited me to Shapes Fitness Center. I had no idea what a gym was growing up in the country. I've never even heard of it. And so I met my friend hesitantly at Shapes on the women's side only, of course. There's the co-ed side and the women's side, feeling embarrassed and uncomfortable about the weight I had gained recently. I thought that I would be super sneaky and wear pantyhose under my bell-bottom workout pants as a means to hold things in. And I thought I was pretty clever about this, but apparently not, because the moment I walked out of the change room, my friend told me to go straight back in and take the pantyhose off. The moment of embarrassment that I had been anticipating. I got myself a membership, but I avoided the co-ed side of the gym for months. Then I started challenging myself. I started walking through the co-ed side just to get to the women's change room. And eventually I forced myself to use the treadmill to warm up, and then I would go back to the women's side only. And slowly taking little steps until I was doing my full workout on the co-ed side. It was then that I started to push my boundaries in other areas of life by choosing small challenges over and over. Starting with joining the gym, I slowly transformed myself from a no person into a yes person.
I'm sorry that someone changed me.
That's okay.
It wasn't me.
I don't either. I'm okay without the slide.
Yeah, it's movement related.
Oh my goodness. This is what I chose. These yeses eventually progressed into moving across the world. Trail running and half-day hikes turned into solo multi-day hikes. The beauty and nature of the physical challenge was like nothing I had ever experienced before. I was enjoying movement with no real agenda or destination. Suddenly, I was alone with my own thoughts. I was engaged in life, and in the present moment, I could hear my own voice. I was able to tap into my own creative, intuitive intelligence. It was calm. I wasn't overreactive or underreactive. I was getting excited about all of the things that I was dreading before. I also realized my own creative thoughts happen when I'm in motion, like thoughts of new life and career paths. I started drawing and reading instead of watching TV. Another special and important thing that happened was positive self-talk. Instead of self-doubt, I started believing in myself. I stopped being the victim in my story and having thoughts of why is this happening to me, and instead seeing where I needed to take accountability. This was the most exciting thing that had happened in my life. I was no longer driving down the highway watching the world pass by. I was fully immersed in nature and engaging with some of the best things this world had to offer. I went well over 20 years without feeling I had meaning. I didn't understand why I was alive, and now I wanted to move purposely and more often so that I can continue to thrive until my final days. I eventually found CrossFit, which was very much in line with how I wanted to pursue fitness. I started rock climbing and skydiving and working with a wilderness survival company. I wanted to learn everything I could and be as strong as possible. I wanted to share this with others, that same secret experience that I had discovered. This is the journey that brought me from hiding in the dark to stepping out in front of people to share the benefits of bringing movement into their life. So many of us plan financially for retirement, but do not plan for physical longevity. We spend a significant portion of our lives working toward the day that we can retire and have the time to explore the world. But when that day arrives, many of us aren't physically able to capitalize on this opportunity. Many of us have spent our lives saying no to uncomfortable activities. So it becomes our default. Saying no leads to more inactivity, which only serves to speed up the aging process, further limiting the activities you will be able to say yes to down the line. It can be the difference between playing with our grandkids versus watching them play from a distance. One of the many things that has me gravitating toward CrossFit is how they define fitness using 4 different models. One of their supporting models being the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum, as you can see here. I'll paint the picture for you. The sickness, wellness, fitness continuum uses the basic metrics of well-being. On one side of this chart, we have a state of being sick. We aren't talking about catching a cold, but more of a chronic kind of sick state. For example, heart disease, cancer, diabetes. If we move further away down the chart from that, we move toward wellness. This is a place of where we aren't necessarily turning heads with our health markers, things such as bone density, blood pressure, cholesterol, and muscle mass, among other things. But we are now living in a place of less risk. If we move further along from that, we move ourselves to a place of fitness, where these health markers indicate that we are now much above average. In this model, fitness is considered to be super wellness. Done right, fitness provides a great margin of protection against the ravages of time and disease. By creating this buffer before we even hit a state of normalcy, the person who has achieved super health has done all that they can to give themselves the best chance of returning to wellness or even fitness if something goes awry. For example, an example that illustrates my point is a story of one of the athletes that I've trained for a few years. I have this very healthy, very fit athlete who ended up hurting his back moving patio stones, because it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter how fit you are. It took him 2 days just to see someone for help because he couldn't even drive. The pain was so debilitating. 2 weeks later, he was back to doing yard work, running, and weightlifting at approximately 70% of his peak fitness or his physical capacity. His chiropractor told him that what should have taken a minimum of 2 months to recover from, he achieved in 2 weeks. Pain-free movement in a very short time. When it comes to physical activity, this athlete in particular, his 100% is sitting at an incredibly high level of health and fitness. So when he gets knocked down to 50 or even 60% of his abilities, he can still accomplish a lot. He is useful to his household. He can still do his job. He's still living a good quality life. Now, let's say he hadn't spent many years building up his strength and cardiovascular endurance. On his best days, the most activity he can do is maybe 1 hour of shoveling the driveway before he needs to lay down and rest. If this individual loses even 20% of his physical capacity, where does that leave him? Now, we don't know what's going to happen in life, and there are many things outside of our control. But fortunately, there are certain things that we do have an influence over. Not only will movement enrich your mental health, confidence, and creativity, it can allow us to improve those things over a lifetime. Is this okay to just leave this here and stop? Movement buys us time and independence. The good news is this starts with one little bit of movement. Stand versus sit, stairs versus elevator, yes versus no. Just like my decision to go to Shapes, one small choice of saying yes can lead to a cascade of changes that will affect your entire life. I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You can be the person who does those things if you follow that mantra and add a little to your life every day. If you step outside of your comfort zone a little every day, you will get there. I truly embrace The Man in the Arena versus by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man who stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without errors and shortcomings, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms and great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails doing greatly. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Neither Theodore or I am saying you need to do great big things. We are just saying you need to get in there. Thank you for listening.